A country's foreign policy is the aggregate of her domestic needs, goals, and aspirations. To actualize this, President Muhammadu Buhari challenged the Nigerian diplomats to think out of the box on how to use foreign policy tools for economic development. To this end, the Diaspora this week will be discussing Nigeria's foreign policy direction in line with government's economic diversification policies. We also have our Diasporan of the week, news and your mails. Welcome to the Diaspora. I am Gabriel Odu. Let's begin the conversation with the former Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bolos Lolo, on Nigeria's foreign policy.
The fundamental objectives of our foreign policy have remained the same. And if you look at the current Constitution of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Chapter 19 thereof, sets out the fundamental objectives of our foreign policy. Largely, we believe in African unity and the other aspects of Pacific settlement of disputes. We believe in maintaining and having a just economic order and the rest of it. But what you will regard as emphasis depends and has changed from one regime to the other. In the 1960s, of course, at independence, before the coup, Tafawa Balewa believed in maintaining cordial relationship with the West. We were not that aligned to the East, even though we espoused a non-aligned movement. There was a fundamental shift in policy when General Murtala Mohammed came to power in 1975. He made his famous speech in Addis Ababa in 1976, in which he declared that Africa has come of age. For a long time, that became a rallying point in our foreign policy. Then we moved from there to the concentric circles of General Muhammadu Buhari, 1984-85, in which we said Africa was the centerpiece of our foreign policy, but that you have to see it in terms of concentric circles, meaning Nigeria in the center, our neighbors, Africa as a continent, and then the rest of the world in that regard. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi came with his concept of concert of medium powers, where he said Nigeria had the clout as a medium power to bring other countries together, such as Canada, and he held a meeting in Lagos, if you remember.
Right.
But it was very, very brief, followed by the era of General Ikewachukwu, again under General Babangida, where we said economic diplomacy will define our foreign policy exertion. And we've moved from there to citizen diplomacy, made popular by the late Chief Ojo Madueke. Now we are back to the era of economic diplomacy again. But all these concepts, what do they mean? They mean one and the same thing. That in articulating our foreign policy, there should be a philosophy behind it to drive that policy, always in pursuit of our national interest. It is our national interest that one should look at what is the character, what is the content, and what is the direction
national interest overriding all other interests.
Precisely.
Okay.
That all countries pursue their national interest. First and foremost, it has to be about the security and well-being of the people. So welfare is an element of that national interest. And government has the responsibility, wherever and whenever the interest of Nigerians is affected abroad, to rise to defend such interests. We will look for opportunities that will expand the horizon of Nigerians, creating opportunities where if they are interested in pursuing business, they will expand the cost, and that there should be no limitations placed unnecessarily outside the confines of the law. And the national interest, therefore, will always remain the driving force behind our foreign policy pursuit, regardless of which regime is in power. Yes, individuals, when they come, like I've pointed out already, you've seen that different regimes, different philosophy, but all in pursuit of one and the same thing. And we must not forget that foreign policy essentially is the projection externally of a country's domestic policy.
Okay, what you're saying in essence is that our domestic needs underpins our foreign policy direction.
Precisely.
Now the scenario is slightly different.
Right.
We have security challenges, economic challenges, and all that. So will this aggregate into shaping our national foreign policy direction?
I will not say shaping the foreign policy direction per se, but it will test the resilience and the can-do spirit of Nigeria and Nigerians. If we take advantage, we'll be the better for it. And in the face of what you've described as security and economic challenges, what must we do? We need to put on our thinking hats as a nation. And we put on that thinking hat individually and collectively, we definitely will overcome these challenges. And I start with the security challenges that we face. At the inception of this administration in 2015, there were 14 local governments that were controlled by Boko Haram. How many are there today under Boko Haram control? None. And the reason is simple. Government came with unalloyed determination, rock-solid commitment, and a determination to stamp out Boko Haram as a menacing force. They reject the military command, re-equipped the Nigerian military, and put the fighting muscle back in our military. And because our military was a tested military, they rose to the occasion. We've turned the tide against Boko Haram, and people are returning in good numbers back to homes that had been abandoned in the last couple of years in the northeast. As for the economy, personally, I don't see any better time than now, since independence perhaps, for Nigeria to look again and ask, this finite commodity that is oil, that we've pinned our hopes so much on, will one day finish, but our land will never run away from us, including areas threatened by erosion and other natural disasters and challenges, such as in the northern part, desertification, for instance.
Right.
We can reclaim them. But once you reclaim and you use that talent, you use those endowments that we have, we will turn the tide. And from being a net importer of food, Nigeria will become a net exporter of food. Foreign policy under the present administration, I believe, has been strong, has been very engaging, and has been visible. And I believe that all we need is to step up what we are doing domestically.
Next on our lineup is Ambassador Dauda Danladi, former Nigerian High Commissioner to Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. I'm glad to see you once more.
As a former Nigerian High Commissioner to Pakistan, how well did you deploy Nigerian foreign policy in the course of your assignment in Pakistan?
Well, Nigeria's foreign policy at any point in time is coterminous with our national interest. And at the center of it is economic and citizenship diplomacy. Now, when I arrived in Pakistan in 2012, I realized that the trading volume between Nigeria and Pakistan, despite the huge potential between the two countries, the historical long-term relationship between the two countries was barely $80 million. Now, when I took a critical assessment of the comparative advantages that are available in Pakistan, Pakistan ranked the number 6th world textile exporter. It is the number 7 rice exporter in the world. Pakistan has over 18,000 textile industries contributing about 65% to their GDP. When you look at the area of military production, Pakistan has been able to domesticate the production of all her military requirements. It's amazing that despite the fact that we belong to the developing 8 countries, we are also members of the Commonwealth, we are also members of various United Nations bodies, and of course we do share common views on issues of international concern. Yet the trading volume was at barely $80 million. Even though in the 80s the trading volume was quite good, because then Karachi used to be the hub of Nigerian businessmen.
Right.
But this particular security challenges, when you look, in a situation you have 39 terrorist organizations, the narratives, of course, the media narratives, is enough to send psychological fear in people, and therefore that stultify business between Nigeria and Pakistan. So what did we do? We tried to debunk the negative media narratives, and what we did was to mobilize information about the abundant investment opportunities that exist in Nigeria in the area of agricultural development, in the area of textile, in the area of industrial development, in the area of culture and even tourism. And we visited the entire nooks and crannies of Pakistan. We were in all the chambers of commerce, from the capital Islamabad to Faisalabad, to major cities like Lahore, to Karachi, to Hyderabad, all right, to Faisalabad. We met with the business communities in all these major cities. We showcased to them what Nigeria had, and of course we packaged a small jingle which we aired in about 8 television stations in Pakistan to educate the people about the vast investment potentials that exist in Nigeria. Vice versa, we did the same thing in Nigeria. What we did was also to mobilize the media, including the NTA, to Pakistan, to take a critical and have an assessment of the industrialization that has taken place in Pakistan.
Right.
And that was brought to Nigerians, and that stimulated interest between the business communities in Pakistan and in Nigeria. And subsequently, after 9 months vigorous work, we were able for the first time in 30 years to bring a trade delegation in various areas from Pakistan to Nigeria. And of course, we visited about 7 states. We were in Kaduna State, we were in Kano, we were in Gombe, we were in Borno State, And of course, we were in Bayelsa and Lagos states. And that opened the horizon and the contract. Because each state we visited, we hold B2B meetings with the business communities there. Areas of cooperation were identified. And by the time we returned back to Pakistan in 2013, the total volume jumped to about almost $200 million, from 80 to $200 million. Interestingly, for the past 30 years, there has been no joint commission meeting between Nigeria and Pakistan that took place here in Nigeria. None. And there was no single agreement, bilateral agreements between Nigeria and Pakistan, despite the long-term relationship. So what we did was to mobilize, sensitize the Pakistani government, draw the attention of our home government, and we were able for the first time to hold the joint ministerial commission meeting here in Abuja in 2014. And it was led by the Pakistani oil minister. The high point was when we were able for the first time to bring the president of Pakistan to Nigeria in 2014. And when he visited Nigeria for the first time, in fact, Africa for the first time, we were able to get these agreements all signed. However, it is today a little bit disturbing personally to me that focus groups have not yet been set up to implement these agreements. The present administration is focusing on diversification of the economy, especially in the area of agriculture, the exploration of solid minerals. And here we have a brother country that has achieved a lot in the areas of agriculture, and we have an agreement in the agricultural sector, but we are yet to have to operationalize this agreement so that it can contribute to boost agricultural development in Nigeria. In the areas of defense cooperation, ordinarily by now we should have had advanced talks on how to collaborate towards resuscitation of our local defense industries in Nigeria.
While in Pakistan, you had concurrent accreditation to Afghanistan, and you met the then president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai. Could you recall what his advice was?
Yeah, for the first time, a Nigerian High Commissioner was in Afghanistan. I've been to Afghanistan more than 4 times, and during these visits was to hold discussions with government officials, repentant Taliban leaders like Mohammed Din Abdullah, like Salahuddin Rabbani, who is the chairman of the High Peace Council, the Minister for Defense in Afghanistan, on strategies to curb insurgency. And we had the opportunity to hold discussions with President Hamid Karzai, who admonishes Nigerians on the futility of violence. President Hamid Karzai gave us the opportunity to also bring in our media, and I'm happy that NTA was able to be in Afghanistan with us, and he granted an interview where he calls on Nigerians that nobody will help Nigeria if Nigerians destroy their own country, that there is no substitute to violence, and there's the need for the entire society, the entire citizens of any given country to support and contribute towards the development of her country. The issue of patriotism, commitment, selfless service, sacrifice are the building blocks towards a vibrant nation.
If you're just joining us, this is the Diaspora on the NTA.
NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Now to our Diasporan of the week. Here is Abiola Ojekale in conversation with Joy Osiagu.
I moved to Canada in the year 2003 with my husband and kids, and I've been here, which is like 13 years now. And I've been a school teacher here in Calgary. And the interesting thing is I didn't go to any school in Canada at all, which shows you that we are well trained in Nigeria. I just got some training on the job, and I'm still a school teacher today, a special education teacher for like 6 years with the same Calgary Board of Education. The system here is completely different from that of Nigeria, and that's what we call adaptation. I just adapt to the system, I listen to them, and the method of teaching is completely different. We practice individualized instruction, which means you study, this individual student is allowed to study his or her own way, and that's what I think we need to do in Nigeria as well. Each time I travel, and I see, especially my area where my mom lives, I'm like, they don't even have a standard school there. You're talking of a whole community where I couldn't see any good school. And meanwhile, people go to work, so they drive a long distance to take their children to schools. So I thought of, okay, what can I do? How do I get back to my community? So I decided to buy land, and I'll be starting the elementary school, which is currently under construction. And it's just elementary, kindergarten up to grade 5 or 6, which is primary 6 in Nigeria, right? And that's what I plan to do. The school is at Orisumbari area. That's by wire and cable after Akpata on your way to Abeokuta. That's where the school is. I will be working with foreign professionals who will be invited down to come and train people, teachers, because that's really important. That's something that's really missing. Even if you provide computers, you provide technology, I don't think many of our institutions really expose our teachers to such training. I was trained on the job. So whoever I hire, they should be open-minded and be willing to be trained, because I'll be working in partnership with a lot of foreign government representatives. It's about giving back to the community. So you don't have to wait for the government to do what you need to do.
Some diaspora news now. Joy Osiagu spoke with a cross-section of Nigerians from the Americas and other parts of the world.
The Conference of Nigerians in the Diaspora Organization Americas, hosted by the Calgary chapter of the organization in Canada, was insightful as it moved from business as usual to business unusual.
Well, in Nigeria, I meet with people from Asia, I meet people from Europe. Despite the travel advisories that are given out to people from Europe, they still come. I know of a Lebanese that does gari in Shaki. Meanwhile, our Nigerian brothers will come and say, from the airport, they start complaining about the situation of Nigeria. So the first thing they need to do is to disabuse their minds.
There are challenges everywhere. So we said, why don't we call Nigerians in the private sector, people that have got things that have been successful even in Nigeria, people that are here that know how things also work here, and people even outside Canada and US. So we said it's a multifaceted problem, and we need to just try and bring everybody to the table, not only to talk about the solution, but actually talking about how do we move forward in terms of actualizing.
Just concluded a Diaspora Day. They essentially approached the Diaspora community saying, look, we're tired of the paper presentation. We're now looking forward to projects that are ready to go, people within the organizations that have got ideas and lofty ideas and initiatives that have firmed up, not conceptualized but really firmed up to a point where they can partner with us as government.
Some of our experts here and our expatriates have actually gone home and engaged the state governments in various local areas. One of our person from Nido, Maryland, and Nido, DC, is actually a chairman of the local government in Lagos Island local government right now. So we have that kind of engagement going on, but we want to increase it going forward, because we think that is an area where people actually get impacted at the local level instead of always constantly focusing on the federal level.
Our email remains the diaspora nta@gmail.com, and our Twitter handle is @the diaspora or @odugap, or you can as well text only to +234 8033 114000. That's it for this week. Bye.